The entrance. I thought we're not even going to be bothered. Is this the entrance? Uh-oh. No! Oi! What's going on? What's going on?
Trying to push past me because I've asked him to put on a mask.
Well, he's exempt.
He's not exempt.
He is exempt. I know he's exempt.
So why ain't he showing me that then?
Because he doesn't have to. Excuse me, he doesn't have to show you any exemption.
Is there any police around, please?
He doesn't have to show you an exemption.
Listen.
He does
He's
not
not.
have to show you an exemption by law.
I've asked him.
He does not have to. Can you hold that, please? No, don't put the...
Yeah, I've got
No, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to.
Under private property, the shops and refusers. Under private property, the shops and
If he's got an exemption, he's got an exemption.
They put a thing out to say that private property...
No, the law states in 2010 Equalities Act, you don't have to wear a mask, you're exempt.
I took out in the news the other day, they've done this at the moment.
No, the law states in 2010 Equalities Act, you don't have to have a lanyard, and you do not have to even, you don't even have to say you're exempt. It's against the law to even ask. And it's definitely not right for you to get physical, that's right.
I've been assaulted, I have.
I don't think you care, it's just showing that it's been assaulted. Like I said, I've got a lot of things to do. You're more than welcome to have a look. Yeah, that'd be fine, thank you very much.
Have some flowers from me, mate.
Right, don't touch me, or I'm going to
Right.
You just pushed me to the floor.
We'll go. Come on, go and do your shopping. Just for the record, he doesn't need to show an
Yeah, the guy's
exemption.
still proceeding to go through the store without a mask on. Can I just explain the company policy?
Yeah, you can.
So, when people come through here,
Yeah.
we are asked for if he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
He said no,
Right.
doesn't have to. I've asked him for an exemption card, and he's still saying no. So therefore, if you're not going to comply with the company policies, no mask, no entry.
Right. Well, we don't have a
Policy
mask,
doesn't supersede the law.
and we have an
The law-
exemption,
okay.
but we do not need to prove an exemption.
When the company policy, the governments don't write the policies.
Right,
So
the law
states,
supersedes policies,
Yeah.
right, so there
The
is a
law.
policy.
The law.
It's Morrison's policy, it was all over the
No.
radio, whatever news.
Morrison's
The law.
policy
When they
is.
come here, I'll let them explain it to you.
Well, Morrison's
I'd like you to
policy
explain it, because
is
I
that
need them to
if
explain
you
it,
do
because
not
that's not
have,
wrong.
if you
I
have an
know what I've got to
exemption,
do,
right?
okay?
Morrison's policy is if you have an exemption, you do not have to prove.
Has the gentleman shown me an exemption card?
Right, he doesn't have to. By law,
Right,
he does
okay.
not have to.
If you're not
He's
prepared
told
to
you
show
he's
an
exempt.
exemption
No.
card, then you have to wear a
No.
mask.
What's your name? What's your name?
My name's Richard.
Richard. Where's your tag? Where's
You don't
your?
need to see my tag. You
Why
can't
do I
ask
not
me
need
for
to
my
see your tag?
You're not allowed to.
Really? You
Yeah.
don't need to see my exemption card either. It's the
Listen,
law.
We've asked for an exemption card, you haven't got one. So therefore, has to wear a
No,
mask.
he doesn't.
Yes, he
no,
does.
he doesn't.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Have you got that on camera, him pressing him to the floor?
Yeah. Now, have I got what's the data in here like? Huh? Yes, he's gone.
A little bit of abuse of power, I think.
Where's
You did not at any time ask me if I'm exempt. Just that I've got to wear a mask in this store. Have you got that?
We've got that, but he's obviously walking into the store anyway. He's gone walking or having to try to get something.
No, the guy's not violent at all. He doesn't understand the policy of the Morrisons and the policy of wearing no mask.
Unbelievable.
I don't think you understand the policy either.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to get out people to you, not being violent.
Exactly.
I think it's more to explain the policy.
No, I think you need to go and find out what the... Can you get your manager?
Understand the policy of no mask, no entry.
You're going to lose your job tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing is,
I won't do.
What?
No, because you didn't ask me if I was there. You pushed me, you assaulted
You
me.
don't have to have people in your store.
Thank you very much. Did you hear that?
Sorry?
By the property. But the police might not attend because it's not being violent or threatening you.
Yeah, I don't think customers understand the contents of private property so that we can enforce the
You are
policy.
providing a public service.
Yeah, we see that. We're passing it on to the police.
Yeah, that's the only issue. They don't understand that private property.
No, but you are providing a public. You are providing a public service.
Never explained to me I'm like them.
Okay, we don't understand what the police just said. We're on private property.
But you are
So
providing a
therefore,
public service. I
we
have
can
all the
place- that's
legislation
fine.
here.
Yeah, but your legislation is not company policy.
You are providing a public
Okay.
service, so you are
So-
discriminating
Okay.
against
No,
the
I'm not.
disability. You are.
Listen,
And if he tells you
The
he's
police have
exempt,
just said to you on the radio, which you've heard loud and clear, it's private property. Whatever policies we have in place are law abiding.
no, they're not law
Well, that's it.
abiding.
No, they're not.
They're
Well,
not
that's
law
the police that
abiding.
have said it. Okay,
They're
just
not
so
law
that
abiding.
customers
Well,
can
I'm going to
understand.
say to the police coming,
the police are
to
not
learn
coming.
where you,
The
what
police
you've just
are not
done is
coming.
assaulted him. You have no
I
right to
haven't
put your
assaulted
hands
him.
on him.
Property.
You had him
Okay.
on the floor.
No.
The police are
Right?
not coming.
I just watched
He
it myself. I
felt
just
he
walked through the
himself.
door
No.
and see you on
No.
top of him on the floor.
No,
All this is knocked over when you should knock him about.
No, he tried forcing his way back into the shop.
He wanted
which
to come
therefore,
in.
I'm in
No.
every right,
Listen,
legal right, to prevent you from doing that.
He could have special
So there you go.
needs, okay? And you're treating
Listen.
him, when he told you he's
Okay.
exempt, you
He
didn't even
didn't.
give...
He didn't.
But he's exempt.
Okay. He did
and you
not tell me
still
at any stage that
did
he
not-
was exempt.
You did
All
not.
he-
You were
all he
grabbing
said-
him there.
I said to you,
You have no right to
No.
touch
You
him.
never asked me.
I said to you, is there
You
any
have
reason why
no
you're not
right
wearing a
to
mask?
touch
And your
him.
answer was no.
Do you know why you have no
That's
right
why I
to touch
stopped you
him?
there, wasn't it?
You stopped
Right.
him coming in. You
So
grabbed
you could
him.
have saved this whole issue
No.
just by saying that.
You touching him
So
was
am I allowed
assault.
to shop in there then?
You're on private property.
No,
I'm
you're
allowed-
providing a
listen,
public
you're not.
service.
If I've asked any customer in this shop,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
to remove themselves from the store, if they do not, I'm
You
allowed
have
to
no
use
right.
force.
He has not committed
Yes, I
a
do.
crime.
Yes, I
He
do.
did not
There's a
commit
difference
a
between me and
crime.
you right now. There's a
Right.
difference between me and you.
So,
You're wearing a
the
vision,
thing
I'm
is-
not. You've
right.
got no power over no one like I have.
you
We're
have
just
no
people.
right to
That's not-
touch
That means
him.
nothing.
Okay,
You're
listen,
not a law
listen.
officer.
Listen.
Yeah? And we by the law in this country, not by security cards employed by a
doesn't matter about my
franchise. Yeah?
security card.
Doesn't supersede the
Okay.
law of the land, does it?
Okay, I'm governed by the SIA, so I know my rights with my licence.
You're not allowed
I'm
to
fully
touch
aware
him.
of my rights.
You're not allowed to touch
If
him.
Clearly you're not.
Listen, if you're refusing to move from this store, which is private property, I'm allowed to use force.
Only if he's
Once I've
committed
told
a
you that I
crime.
want you to leave. If you're still going to refuse,
You
I
could,
can use
he's
force to do
he's
that.
done nothing.
Which is called justified
has
force.
done
Well, like I say, I
nothing.
just walked in seeing you roughing
Yeah.
him up. I don't
So
know
you
the
haven't
cases
seen
what
the
happened
whole
before,
thing. This
but
is
that's
my
what I'm
point.
saying. I just seen you physically throwing him around, right? And
Okay.
at the end of the day, me and you are no
Right.
different. We haven't
I'll
got
tell you how
power of
it's
the law.
happened.
The police officer
So-
can do whatever they do because
Okay.
they work for, they
Right, when the
enforce
police
the law.
come here, they're going to tell you I've got every right to do what I've just done.
Right,
Well, we'll
so-
see
Yeah,
because
you're on private property.
this
It's
is
open
you,
to
but
the
you're
public.
providing
Yes,
a
it's
public
property.
service.
This is what I'm here for, to prevent theft, to prevent anything like this happening. It's my job to stand here to enforce a no mask, no entry.
No, not
That's-
really,
yes, it is.
because it's actually not law. It's just legislation.
Okay,
It's
do you want
not
to
a
have a look at
crime.
all our signs?
Yeah, if
This
you
is what
have
customers
an
are not getting.
exemption, you do not have to
Okay.
prove it.
Okay, listen.
And I think that's where you're wrong.
Okay, when you come
Where's
into
your
this
manager?
store, when you come into this store,
Where's your manager?
we ask for exemption cards.
Yeah, right,
No,
that's the
Okay.
thing.
no. Where's your
Yeah.
manager?
To separate you
Where is
from
your
all
manager?
the rest. So your manager's going to tell you the same. We like to wear exemption cards. If you're stopped and questioned, then yes,
Well, the law
you should show
states
the
that
exemption
you don't
cards.
legally have to provide an exemption or even
Okay.
ask that question.
Okay.
Do you understand the law?
Listen,
Right.
I understand it very well, but I
Right.
also
Well, clearly
understand
you
here.
don't because you
No.
would have done what you just did.
Right.
He doesn't have to
Okay.
disclose his invisible disabilities.
He didn't say
That
nothing
is
about
private.
disability.
That, you understand?
This is
That
what I'm
is
trying to explain
private
to you. Okay,
between
listen.
him and his
Forget the
doctor.
disability part, because this is where you are unclear of what's happened.
No, I think you
You've
are.
turned up right at
He
the end of
doesn't
this. You
need
don't
to.
know what's happened, and this is the
Well.
issue here. So the guy's come in. I've asked him, did he have a mask? He said no. I've asked him, is he exempt? He said no. Then continue to walk past me. I've
Did you
stopped
say
him
you're
through the
exempt? You're
barriers.
not exempt? No, you didn't. You did not say you're not exempt.
I didn't say anything. I said
Right.
I haven't got a mask, and you said, can I
Okay.
go and get a mask?
So I said
no, I'm
to
not going
you-
to go and get a mask.
Thank you. So this
I
is
said
where
I
it's all
wasn't going to go and
happened.
get a mask.
So I'm not the one that's in the wrong. I've asked the right questions. It's this gentleman here that said no to everything. So I stopped him as he's gone through the barriers, and I said, can you come back to the front to get a mask? Then he said no.
It still doesn't change the fact that quality is
So,
at 2010
so
stakes.
he
You don't
said
have to
no.
wear a lanyard.
Right, I'm just trying to point out here.
That's your choice.
Okay.
And
Okay,
you have
listen.
no legal right to ask him
Right,
that
sir,
question. That's
I've
the
got
law,
you
yeah?
and I've got this lady here that doesn't even know the situation. I've explained
I
it
do
from
know,
the
I saw
beginning.
him come
You said-
in.
yeah, that's all you've seen.
Right,
That's
so
all you've seen.
if he comes in and he
So
doesn't
far
want to
in the
wear a
story-
mask,
so
can I
far in the
just...
story,
Right,
you've
so
seen that I am not in the
if
wrong
he
so
comes
far.
in and says-
all I've done
All I
is
saw was you-
justified.
Right.
Fucking him on the floor.
Hold on a
Hence why
minute.
this is all on the
If
floor,
he
yeah?
comes
So I've
in,
asked him to remove himself.
knocked off the
I've asked him to remove himself from the store. He's refused.
right, if he
Okay?
comes in,
So I asked him again to remove himself to go and get
On
a
what
mask.
grounds?
He said no.
On what grounds
so
are you
that's
removing
where
him?
I've used force.
on what grounds
Right.
are you removing him?
Pardon?
On what grounds did you ask him
Okay.
to remove
I'll tell you
himself?
what grounds, because he refused to wear a mask. And our policy states no mask, no entry.
Right, so then that gives you the right to assault him, to put
It's
your
not
hands
assault,
on it,
it's
to
using
put your
justified
hands
force
on
because
him.
he
There's no
refused to leave the
justified because he
premises.
did not commit a
Okay,
crime.
you're not getting it. It's
he did
justified
not commit
force
a
because
crime.
he's refused to leave the premises.
You need to phone the
Justified force
police,
enforcing
and the
something that you've
police
got no
deal
power
with
to
it.
enforce
You
because
actually
you
have
haven't
no
broken the law.
right to
Listen,
touch
while he's
it.
on this property, we go by a no mask, no entry.
Yeah, and you call the police.
That's down from exactly, and the police are on my side.
But you
as
have
just
no
heard.
right to touch him.
I've done nothing wrong.
You touched him. You
That's
assaulted him.
justified force.
You can only ask him to leave. You're not allowed to touch
Did you or
him.
did you not refuse to leave?
It doesn't matter,
Thank
even
you.
if he
So
walked
that's
in.
where my role
Yeah,
comes
but
in.
even
That's
if he
where I do
walked
have the
in, he
power.
didn't commit a crime.
Okay, he's refused. Yes, I do. And when the police come, they will tell you that, and they will tell you that I am not in the wrong.
We'll see.
I know what I'm allowed to do.
Okay, we'll see.
So
What's
when
is
they
your?
come, you'll be refreshed on what.
They're
I
not
can
coming.
do.
They've already told you they're not coming.
No, they're going to try and get a unit here, so you can wait as long as you want.
Well, I'm not waiting 2 hours because they've told you already they're not coming.
Well, I'm not in the wrong.
You know, if they said,
If you're
well,
gonna
they
refuse to
don't
leave the
think,
premises,
they
you
said
have
to
the right
you
to
on the
remove
phone, he did not assault you,
Exactly.
he was not violent, so that's
aggressive.
why they're not
Exactly.
coming. They
It's
said
you-
that.
Listen, it's you guys that are standing here and arguing with me. Like I said to you, I'm in the right and I know what I
No,
can
you
do.
think you're in the right.
You
Okay,
think
well,
you're
if
in
I was
the
in
right.
the wrong,
I disagree with everything you're saying. At the end of the day,
Okay.
Anyway.
I've just
Okay.
witnessed you put hands on him, throw him to the floor, which was
I did throw
more
him to
than
the floor.
that was not justified
Okay.
behaviour. At the end of the day, he's
I did
coming.
throw
He's
him
not.
to the floor.
You had him on the floor.
He
and
stumbled
on top
to
of
the
it.
floor.
He come in. There was no aggression. This man.
No.
I don't know this man.
No.
I clearly see he's a
Okay.
calm, collected person, and what
Okay.
he's done was
Yeah.
physical force. And it was unjustified.
It's
He wasn't
not
acting
physical,
injecting or
it's
he
justified
wasn't
force.
being in any way aggressive.
Okay.
Everybody saw it. You
Okay.
just lumped him to the floor. That's the way
I didn't throw
everything
him
is
to the
not
floor.
topping on the floor,
I
isn't
didn't
it?
throw him to the floor.
Yes, you did. I
Okay.
walked in and watched you do
Okay.
it.
Anyway.
Listen. At the point where it went wrong is when he tried to force entry back into the store.
Yeah, and you put your hands on him.
Exactly.
You're
Because
not
I've
allowed.
asked him to leave. If
You're not
gonna
allowed.
force entry into the store,
He
I'm
didn't
gonna
commit
be
a
right to
crime.
use that.
He did not commit a
Justified
crime.
force.
You are not allowed to touch
Okay.
him.
When you were asked to leave
I
the
didn't try
store,
to get back into the store.
you was right at the exit. You forced your way back.
Yeah, you was pushing. You was pushing
I was
me out.
pushing you that way. You pushed
Yeah.
yourself this
Can we
way.
have the manager here?
I was going like that, mate.
Exactly. Refusing to leave.
Where is the manager? Why isn't the manager
I was
here?
gonna leave.
Why hasn't the manager
On my
come
own
down?
street. You didn't give me a chance.
You wasn't leaving on your own.
Why hasn't the
Otherwise
manager
you'd have
come
left there.
down? Why hasn't the manager come down?
What, you want to manager?
I want the manager, yeah.
Okay, so request one and I'll get one for you.
I thought he'd be down here already.
Hey, the customers would like to have a word with you.
Well, that's interesting.
You right?
Are you the manager?
I was at the front the whole time with the gentleman walked in.
Well, you just said you're not the manager. Where's the manager?
We are members.
You-
She's not a manager. I think you'd like to speak to her.
I thought you were here. So let's get this right. You're saying that people are not allowed in, even though they say they're exempt.
They have to
If they not, no, they don't.
They do it in this store
Right.
with this company because it's private property.
Right.
We're not allowed to ask what they're exempt for. We just have to have proof.
You have to have proof.
Yes.
Don't have to
and
prove.
They don't have
yes,
to
and
prove.
it's as simple as is the
That's the
little
law.
card.
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Ayla. Ayla.
Ayla.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'm going to be contacting Morrisons because your policy here is wrong. You're providing a public service. Nobody has the right to ask for proof of exemption because it is against the data protection. I can show you everything here. I have all the documents. Do you want to see them?
No, that's fine because I know our policy.
Right, okay, that's fine. So that's fine. All right, let's...
So don't talk to me like
I've
that.
got
I've been
names.
16 years.
Yeah, so
I've
I've
got
been doing it
names.
longer than that. I've been
Let's
on the
go.
doors and I've been
Okay.
security.
So therefore you will
yeah,
know
I
what
do know.
I'm
But at the end of the
talking
day, when I was with that gentleman, and it was not in any way being aggressive.
Don't say
Verbally attacking me.
No, you're wrong. You're actually very wrong. That's fine. I'll be contacting Morrisons because you do not have to provide any proof of exemption because it's actually against data protection. It is actually against the data protection.
And he understands what he's saying.
No, that's fine.
He
That's fine.
understands
That's
what I've
fine.
asked him to do. He's
Right.
not drunk, is he?
We need to go. We need to go because I've got everything I need now and I'm going to write to Morrisons. So, because it's against policy what you're doing here.
Sorry, but policy doesn't supersede
No,
the law.
it doesn't.
I wish there was a copper here, actually, because end of the day, they can enforce the law.
You are still providing a public service.
No disrespect to this gentleman, yeah.
Right? So, and you are still discriminating against the Disability Act. He is. No, he's told you he's exempt.
No, he did not. No, he
Right.
did not. He's already admitted that.
But I've just asked this lady, and I've said, if I'm exempt,
the gentleman here has already admitted to you that he did not say he
right,
was exempt.
I've just asked this
So he
lady,
could have saved his
okay,
life.
that's fine, I've just asked this
It's not,
lady,
because you're making me out to be the bad person.
no,
and
but
I'm
you
not.
said he has to prove exemption.
That's what the manager
No,
said.
and this is where this is wrong. He does not have to
You're
prove
on private
exemption.
property.
But also, you shouldn't have
You're on
touched
private
it.
property.
But no, it doesn't matter because you're providing a public
And I
service.
think that's where you need to look
Okay,
at.
that's fine. I'm going to deal with that.
Okay, but we are told to enforce this,
No, you're told to ask. You're told to ask, and then
and anyone who refuses is refused entry.
that's if they refuse to wear a mask, but you have no right to ask them for proof. That's the difference. I do not have.
Anyone can just walk in and
If
say
you
I'm
you can ask them. You say, "Where's your mask?" And if they say no, then you can say, "Well, you can't come in." But by law, you are not allowed to ask for proof of exemption.
Yes.
Right?
He's come
First
into
of
the store.
all,
Can I just explain
yeah,
something?
you do your
So he's come
explanation.
into the store, he's got to about here. I've asked him, does he have a mask? He said no. I said to him, would you like to go back to the table and get a mask, please? He said no. I said, are you exempt? He said no. I said, okay, you're going to have to come back to me to the table.
Where's
No.
that man gone?
He passed me like this. I said no.
I don't know.
I've been shopping here for the last 2 weeks, I've never had to wear a mask. I said to him, there's no way you've done that, this has been going on for the last couple of weeks.
Well, I didn't see this long conversation.
So
I just walked in, and that's what I'm saying. It all happened in about 2 seconds.
Right. So what's happened is, so he's gone through the barriers. I've stood in front of him while my manager, Ayla, is there also, witnessing. So I put my hand out like this and I'm asking, if you're not going to wear a mask, then so I've done this to him. So I said to him, if you do not remove this up, I've got no choice because you justify forcing on the premises. He said he's not going nowhere. So I pushed him out through here.
All long conversation, it just happened in 2 seconds, isn't it?
Then he got to about here, and then he's fighting me to get back into the store after I'm pushing him out of the store. We've come this way here, then he stumbled over here. I did not push him like the gentleman was saying.
We've got it on film,
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
That's why I recorded it. So he stumbled over this. I think what he's done is we will speak to that. He stumbled onto the ground.
I don't mean to interrupt, but could I ask you to move this up to security just because obviously we're blocking the door?
So he stumbled here, you can see, I think so what's your on this anyway?
Well, the thing is,
Just seeing him. He's older, Jen. He must be 60 years old. And I just saw him roughing the bloke over. And I said, "It's over here."
the problem is,
I didn't
right?
see the-
No, hold on. The problem is, what everyone doesn't understand is that you're dealing with hidden disabilities, right? Now, the gentleman quite clearly shows signs of disabilities. Okay. Now he said, "Have you got a mask?" And he said no. And he went to come in. And then he said something about, well, can you go and get your mask? The guy just walked in. Now, under the COVID legislation, not wearing a mask is not actually a crime. It's a law. It's legislation. It's not a crime. They haven't. So that means he has no right to touch him because he has not committed a crime. Now, the guy has hidden disabilities. And the other problem here we have is that they want proof of your of your what's the word I'm looking for? So they want proof of why you don't need to wear a mask, which again you do not need to prove.
So the male
It is correct, isn't it?
the male
Thank
has
you.
said that he hasn't got any underlying health conditions.
That's who?
So the
Who
male
said he hasn't got any underlying health
The male
conditions?
himself has told security that he hasn't got any.
When did he say that? He said no. He said I won't wear a mask. He said I haven't got a mask. I've got it all on here.
I think you've also got it on yours.
So he said he didn't have
got
a.
one. I said to him, is he exempt? He said no. And I asked him to go back to the table to get a mask. That's when he
Right.
refused and carried on walking.
Right, okay, and then you put your hands on him to stop
To
him.
that point, so you don't
Yeah,
know
we
what's
were.
happening.
He was trying to push him out. Where he
Can we take this away?
Can I just explain this further? So, obviously, Morrisons then, their current policy is that no one can...
Yeah, but their policies, company policies, don't supersede the law. You enforce the law. He's no different to me at the moment. He's just wearing a vis and I'm not. So he's not a police enforcement officer. You are. You enforce the law. He's following guidelines or company policy. Company policy doesn't supersede the law.
But because this is a licensed premises, the company
It still doesn't give him justification to physically assault someone that's been non-violent, i.e. physically or verbally. He was not being aggressive, that gentleman. He's an old man.
No, it's okay. I don't know. I literally just walked into.
Can we just move this conversation just down here so it's out of the shop? So it's out of the
Are you alright coming with us?
Yeah.
Obviously, want you there.
Yeah. We'll just take it a bit further down here. So.
Right, so obviously the law is, okay, I understand the whole Disability Act thing and that sort of thing.
You do understand the Disability Act?
I do.
So what do you understand from the Disability Act?
So what I understand is, at the moment, is that he's come in and he said that he hasn't got any underlying health conditions. I understand, so obviously because
Not being funny, the gentleman even looks at it. You can see he's not
that's
well.
fine, that's absolutely fine. Obviously what I need to then establish is because Morrisons' policy is no mask, no entry, then that they can enforce it because they're
So how do they
guards.
enforce it?
Sorry?
How do they enforce it?
Right,
Does
so
he enforce it by putting his hands
He can, if
on that
the
man
male refuses, he can use force to withdraw the male from the shop.
to stop him coming in,
He
even
can-
though he hasn't committed a crime?
If he is asked the male to leave
Right.
and the male doesn't leave, he can use force to take that male out of the shop.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll see. Because he didn't commit a crime, he wasn't stealing
I
anything.
understand he's
He
not
should be
committed a
calling
crime.
you.
I understand he's not committed a crime.
You're the ones that
Has he
should be
left? Has he
removing.
actually left now?
I don't know where
I
he's
understand
gone.
he's not committed a crime. I understand that, but this is false. So this is the store policy. Is that no mask, no entry. So therefore, security guard is well within his right
Okay.
to physically remove that person if they're not. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, maybe, but if that person has got a disability, then
Of course,
yeah.
but the person
so now,
disclosed that he hasn't got a
but how do you know he hasn't?
So, but if that's what that person
Because he wasn't
disclosed-
acting
never
quite
said that.
rational, was he?
He didn't say that. He didn't say I haven't got a...
He says he didn't say that.
The gentleman would have followed what I was asking to do. If he would have turned around and said, yes, I am exempt, I would have asked you have an exemption card.
Right, and then
If
what?
he would have said, no, I do not have an exemption card, then like our bulletin says, we would have allowed him to carry on shopping.
Oh, you
but
now
in
you're
future
saying-
to bring an exemption card.
Right, but
Right,
that's
well,
where you're
firstly,
wrong.
You don't have
You
to,
don't
wear a
have to
lanyard.
prove
You don't have to
exemption.
advertise your
Yeah,
individual
but-
disability.
okay.
And you're also not allowed to
Can
question what
you
his invisible
refresh him
disability
that he
No
doesn't
one's
have to
questioning
prove
medical
exemption?
condition.
In Qualities Act 2010, it's all stated there. When I'm saying that
like
from
we're
this
trying to explain to you,
gentleman,
you're on private property, it's open to the
Yeah,
public.
but you're
That's
still
our
providing
policies.
a public
Our policies-
service.
Exactly.
Exactly, but you're on private property.
Yeah, but
and these gentlemen
it
enforce
might
the law.
be, but you're
They're
still
the law.
providing,
Yes,
and
they are the
under
law,
the
but they're telling you that I'm
disability,
within my right.
under
This
the
is what we're trying to get
Disability
across to you.
Discrimination Act, you don't have to ask for
It's
proof.
not, listen,
That's
I'm
fine.
not asking for proof. It's an exemption card.
So we've
That's
established.
proof.
Okay.
It's not proof.
It is
We're
proof.
not asking for any medical records.
No,
we're
that
not
is
asking
proof.
for
You're
any medical
asking him to
conditions.
prove. He doesn't have to.
Right,
He actually
so-
doesn't have to.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. I understand that he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to ask at all.
Right,
So-
can you just now say that to this gentleman?
Policy-
then? He doesn't have to disclose his personal information that's private between him and his doctor.
Can you just-
It's
He doesn't have to.
confidential.
He doesn't have to
expose
prove
that
an
to him.
exemption.
No, so what he needs to do, because obviously the store policy now is no mask, no entry, it's a bit of a grey area where I completely understand where you're coming from, but the store policy is that he's not allowed to enter the shop without wearing a mask, without being exempt. So
Yeah, and saying
unfortunately
he's
now-
exempt is
but
enough.
He has now said that he hasn't said that he's exempt. He said he's got no underlying health
No,
conditions.
right.
And that's
Did he
where
say
this
that or didn't he
situation.
say
I don't know. I
That's
just
where
saw
this
them
situation
chuckling
is.
to the
What
ground.
the exempt card does is to stop us from asking
Yeah, but
you again,
yeah,
which avoids
but
all
also
this
he doesn't have to
situation.
carry an
He doesn't have
exemption
to.
card.
No, he doesn't have to.
But if
Right,
he-
thank you.
But now,
Thank you.
But that doesn't matter because in this situation he
Right,
said that
thank
he's
you.
not exempt.
No,
So
but he doesn't
therefore-
actually have to carry an exemption
No,
card.
he doesn't have to. But
Right.
that's irrelevant in this situation. Because
No, but he even said he does.
that's fine. But in this exact situation that I've come to deal with right now, he has stated that he does not have the underlying health condition.
I've got something here. I've got it on video. I don't know what you've got on video,
I've
but
asked the gentleman in front of you while you was recording that when
He
I
said
asked him,
you
does he
asked
have a
him-
mask, he said no.
No.
And I asked him in front of while you were recording, which you can go back to, and you didn't tell me you was exempt, and he said no.
right.
This is what's led it up to this point.
Okay. Now, if he's got underlying issues, disabilities, and you've
then he's not funny.
then got rough with him,
But then he
doesn't
should
look
clarify
well,
that.
does
how
The
can
minute
it?
I
If
said to
someone
him,
is
do you have
suffering
a
from
mask,
hidden
he should therefore
disabilities
go,
and he's not
exempt.
thinking straight,
But
he didn't
hasn't
look
done
right.
that.
No, that's absolutely fine. No worries at all.
But
He
hasn't
really
done
didn't.
I thought, right, so no, he,
So that's the problem. That's where you shouldn't have touched him because he could have.
Okay.
He's not rational,
It's
and that's where
he's
he
not
should have
right.
called
You
you.
spoke to the gentleman. He's,
No,
you can
I'm
see
afraid-
clearly.
No, he
has
went.
got
He's
issues.
gone.
I've got covered. I've got to take
Everyone
stores
that comes
from
through
all
the store,
sides, okay?
we do not know who's got a disability, so we treat
don't need
everyone
proof.
equally the same.
Yeah, but
from the
you
minute
don't
they
need
walk through
proof.
that door.
And this is where my argument is that you're saying you have to show an exemption. No, you don't.
Yes.
Okay, no, you don't.
In this point,
Okay.
right at the moment,
If I say to you, I have an exemption, that is enough.
Okay. Well, I follow the company policies.
That is the company policy.
It's not. It's not Morrisons.
For Morrison.
Thank you.
He's
I follow
following
the Morrisons company policies.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And
here to
if
do,
someone
to enforce
says
their
that
policy.
they have an
It doesn't supersede
exemption,
the law, does it?
that
The
is
law
enough.
states you don't have to
You
wear a
don't
lanyard.
actually have to
disclose
wear it.
your personal private
Because it's
information.
actually down to
You
the
don't have to. I
person
mean,
whether they want to
when-
disclose it.
When it's within this is a private property of Morrison. So
Private,
they
yeah,
have
but
they
policies
have,
do not supersede the law. You know this. You're a police enforcer. You know you work for the police. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know the law.
Yeah.
And any policies, company policies, or whatever, doesn't supersede the law. The law.
And the problem is,
The law
because,
states overall, it trumps it.
Morrisons is providing a public service, they still have to follow regulations,
so
laws
they're
and
under
whatever.
licensed property, so Morrisons are allowed to put their own legislation in, and they are allowed to do this. Right now, the situation I've come to deal with right now, right here, right now,
Was
is
that
the matter
gentleman?
is to do with that gentleman. That gentleman has said that he hasn't got any underlying health conditions, and therefore, due to
Well, I don't think he actually asked him that.
due to well, I can go and ask him that as well.
Yeah, I don't know where he's
But
gone.
obviously, when I go and ask him that, I need him to speak for himself.
Yeah, because he never stated that in obviously I did see the first 2 seconds, but it literally was. I don't know how this massive conversation was
Yeah.
going on, because I was walking in behind and I was like, it happened so quick and he ended up on the floor and I was like, what the hell's going on? Seriously, he's an old man, you know.
No, of course, I completely understand what you're saying. See, I wasn't there when that happened, so I've got to go from what I've come in to speak to you about now. So what I've heard is the male said that he hasn't got any underlying health conditions, so I need to deal with that going forward.
Yeah, you need to address that, because he didn't say nothing of the sort in front of me.
That's fine. I
He
know, I
never
will
stated
address
that.
that.
And I can look at him, I can see he's not
But
well.
I still don't believe that you. Yeah, but I still don't believe you can put your hands on
You
him.
can see he's not well.
I don't believe that he can do
He's
that
not a well
because it
man,
wasn't
is he?
reasonable
Down
force.
to your
It really
policy,
wasn't reasonable.
You can use force to withdraw somebody from the premises. If
But
the
that's if
person
they
refuses
commit
to
in a.
leave.
Yeah, okay,
No,
that's
if
fine.
They commit a crime,
Yeah, he was
Right.
not being verbally aggressive, he was not being
Okay.
physically aggressive, there was
wasn't.
none of that going on.
That
So
is
where
fine.
does it justify the physical force to
Because-
someone
so
who's not
some
being
people-
non-confrontational? Non-confrontational.
Because I've
You
asked
know,
you
he's
to
not a
remove
physical
himself.
threat to you. You're a big lump, he's an old man.
Okay. No one's ever a physical threat, but if I've asked you to leave the store and you're refusing to leave the store, then I'm allowed to use force to remove you from this store.
He was an old man.
And he was refusing.
He wasn't thinking rationally.
Either
You
way-
could see that.
Either way, that is what's happened now. Security
I don't even
are
think that
allowed to
gentleman actually
use-
knew what was going on, to be honest.
I don't think he did. He wasn't with
He was
it.
more in shock and disbelief of what the hell was going on. He was not understanding what was going on.
Right.
Okay, well,
I
he
just don't want to.
understood the questions that I was asking.
Well, he looked a bit loony
Okay,
to me.
so he was
Right.
able to answer my questions directly with no hesitation. So at that point, I'm going to say he fully well knew what he was doing.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I
I could walk in here, piss out my nut, stoned out my nut, and I'd still be able to
What
answer
I
you.
need to do then is
That
right
doesn't
now-
make me
right now,
reasonable
I need
minded,
to
does
focus
it?
on the matter.
Right,
That's
so
what I
and
need
then we go back to his disability then, doesn't it? If you've just said that, you can come in here stoned out your head and still answer me correctly.
Yeah, but he might
So we go
have.
back to
There's a
gentleman has
reason why
disability.
he was
So
acting
he's
the
still
way he was.
answering me correctly.
Anyway, we're going round in circles. I'm done. I just wasn't happy with what I saw.
Well, he just walked in, like I
And
say,
I am also.
you know, he's getting very physical. I have done security for many years, and I didn't like what I saw. I thought, well, he was not given any justification to be that physical because the man was non-confrontational. There was no aggression
And
in
this
the
is
man.
why I say you've only seen the end of it, you haven't seen the
But at the same time, I do not believe that
Come
they
towards the
need
end.
proof
Me and my
to
manager,
show an
Ayla,
exemption
were
because it
standing
does
there
not
for a good
state
5 minutes
anywhere,
before
even on the
we
government
went to
website, that they need proof of exemption. You don't. Because that is a hidden disability, people do not need to prove it. And I think this is where the problem is as well.
It is a grey area. I do
It
agree
is a
with
grey
you.
area.
Unfortunately, at the moment, I'm here to deal with this situation.
No,
has
that's
occurred.
fine, and thank
So
you
I
for
need
your
to speak
patience.
to-
I don't know
speak
where
to-
he's gone.
That's fine. I'll have a look around for the mail. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'll have a look through their
none
cameras as
of
well.
that was said in front of my
That's fine.
company. I didn't see him say any of that. He
And you know
didn't
what?
say,
Your
"I'm
thing's
not
going to
determined."
trip.
Oh,
And if
yeah,
it
it's
does,
broken.
believe
No, it's
me,
broken. This is all the
you
things
have
that's
no
stuck in
idea
there.
how bad that stuff
Oh,
is. It
no,
will
no,
bleach
I've already
through.
got a stain
Yeah,
somewhere on it.
they are really bad for you.
Just like security said, see, today it would be more of an educational thing to say to the man
Well-
if he does have. Okay, so I'm seeing.
I will, if I see him, I will talk to him. But I wasn't happy with how he was handled,
Okay.
and I'm not happy that you believe that they don't need to show that they have to show exemption because they don't.
Stops us from asking. If you walk in
It,
the
yeah, it
room,
might
we
stop
won't have
you.
to- doesn't matter.
It
We'll
might
walk in,
stop
you
you,
don't
but they
ask me.
still don't need to prove it.
But this is where we're going to go back in circles, sir.
Yeah, let's not bother.
Property
I
open to the
just wanna
public. It's
go.
our policy to ask you. So whether you say that
Yes, you're right.
is
You
higher
have
or
the
anything,
right to
it's
ask.
a company policy.
But you don't have the right to ask for proof.
They do not conduct
Yeah,
their
you can ask
policies.
are you exempt?
Yeah.
His
Okay.
reply should be, yes I am, and that's where the conversation is. You don't have to say, can you prove your exemption?
No, you don't.
It doesn't have to by law.
But where we have a company policy in place,
No, that's fine. I'll be
okay,
writing
that,
to your
that will
company.
stand up in court or anywhere. It's a legal policy.
So obviously, I just want to clear up today's situation that obviously you brought in on. So obviously, where the man has said today that he doesn't have any of those underlying health conditions.
I don't know if he said that.
Okay.
We're assuming he said that. He says he said that. I don't know if he did.
Yeah, I didn't hear him say that.
I never heard him say
I'm only
that.
going on what I'm only going on what I saw.
Because what he said.